Hi guys and welcome, this is Matthias from J&M and I want to show you a ladder climbing system I implemented for Unity 5 and FPS controller. The project contains an own FPS controller, FPS player implementation and a prefab with a ladder and triggers you can just drag and drop into your projects. If you are my patron, you can download the project from there. If not, I will explain how the project is set up, how the script is implemented, and you can code it by yourself. So have fun watching this. So here we are in Unity 5, and as you can see, it is a very simple project. I have some ladders here. Each ladder you can see is a prefab. It consists of several parts. 2 triggers, one at the bottom and one at the top, and we have 3 points, empty points, which are attached to the ladder. If the player enters a trigger, he is translated to special points. For example, when he enters the bottom trigger, he's translated to position 1 and attached to the ladder. When he enters the trigger at the top, he is translated to point 3 to leave the ladder, or to point 2 when he comes from above, then he's again attached to the ladder. Okay, to understand this we have to check the script. The script is based on the FPS controller that is shipped with Unity 5 and the standard assets, and I rewrote it a little bit. For example, you can see the on trigger enter. When the FPS player is entering a trigger, I check if it is the trigger which is located at the bottom. If this is the case, I move the player to the point 1 and attach it to the ladder. This is executed if we are already climbing. If not, I assume that the player will leave the ladder. In each case, I will toggle the bool variable is climbing. Okay, same for the top trigger. If I'm already climbing, I assume I want to leave the ladder, and I move my character to the point 3 and therefore detach the player from the ladder. In the other case, I will attach it to the ladder and move him to point ladder 2. That's the basic logic for toggling the climbing state. The next thing I want to do is to rotate the player when he is climbing to the direction of the ladder. Therefore I rewrote the mouse look script and introduced the ladder trigger, and if this is not null, this parameter, I will rotate the player to the direction, to the forward vector of this ladder trigger. And I assure with that method that the player is facing directly to the ladder, and I clamp the rotation of the camera and the character to look up and down, but not to the left or to the right, until the player leaves the ladder. Okay guys, I think that's it basically. Then let's come back to the FPS controller script and summarize the changes I made. Okay, I introduced a bool variable is climbing. In the fixed update method, I check if is climbing is true and apply my climbing logic here. This means I change the direction in which the player is moving, so that the player is moving upwards or downwards the ladder with the rotation angle that the ladder model has. You can see this here. I have the transform of the ladder, and I multiply the rotation of this transform with a forward vector and the y-axis of my player input. We have these 2 member variables here. Let's do a little bit refactoring. Move them up. I want to have it clean before I upload it to my Patreon. So let's rename this member variable, start with an M in this script. So let's do this. And also for my current ladder trigger, choose refactor, rename, and let's start this with an M. Great. Okay, some comments. This is my current state of climbing. Am I climbing or not? This is my current ladder trigger. It's the trigger at the bottom or the top. Yeah, great. And I think that's good enough. And when you download the project, I really hope you understand the logic, but at least if you don't want to change it, you don't have to understand it fully, because you really just have to drag and drop the prefabs into your project and it will work. So here are the changes again. This part for the climbing logic. Next method is the rotation I adjusted, if we are climbing or not. Here's a completely new method, the on-trigger enter, when the player enters the trigger at the bottom or at the top. And that's all. So I really hope you like this. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you like to use this just by drag and drop into your project, be my patron. Here is the link to my Patreon account, and download it and use it as you like. And of course, if you are my patron, you can ask me any question you have by dropping me a line via email. So see you soon on this channel.